Hey guys, what's up? I'm here for a review of a comedy horror exploitation film from 1990 from the director of Basket Case, Brain Dead, and Frankenhooker. And tonight's movie is Basket Case 2. Um, this film continues right where the first film left off, with Dwayne and his mutant brother Belial, and they're taken in by a secret home of freaks that have no home, while a journalist is looking for them. So our film begins with the end of the first film, then credits. Um, then there's a news reporter talking about the incident. We have these two people watching the news. Dwayne and Belial are in the hospital together. Belial escapes his restraints, and so does Dwayne. While the security guard is distracted, then Belial rips the security guard's throat out, and they make a very flawed, stupid, and ridiculous escape from the hospital that succeeds, where they're picked up in a van by the two people we saw watching the news earlier in the film. Um, Dwayne wakes up with a bunch of freaks standing over him as he fades in and out of consciousness, and we are introduced to Ruth and Susie. Ruth, the older one, goes to the room Belial is in and looks for him. Belial climbs up on a wooden rocking horse and kind of stares at her for a bit. Uh, then she puts him in a wicker basket, similar to the basket from the first film, and she takes him upstairs to where she can meet all the other freaks that she has living in the attic. So, so we meet a freak who has a very small body and a rather large head. And when I say large, I mean like large fucking head that can sing like an opera singer. That's pretty awesome. So next we have a person who's some kind of candle plant lady, I guess. That's what I got from looking at her. Then we have another version of Sloth from the Goonies. And Belial is introduced to Eve, a very small creature that is similar to Belial. Next we're in the office of a tabloid, of a tabloid, like a guy who runs a tabloid magazine, and he wants one of his writers to go out and write a story about the two brothers and find Dr. Freak, who had a son who was born with 11 arms. She calls a freak show owner to see, like, if he's seen Belial or anything, I guess, and he claims to have found Belial and have him captive, and as an exhibit. Um, so Ruth shows up, goes inside, and kind of gets the guy to show her the entire like freak show attraction thing, and you can tell like all this stuff's fake. She calls him garbage and trash for exploiting people that are freaks, and she brings in a wicker basket, and Belial kills the owner. And yeah, that death scene was a lot cheesier than I remembered it being. So the reporter shows up and finds the owner Barker and his corpse and all the displays in shambles. And that's kind of where it ended. Basket Case 2. Another one of those movies that I rented from Netflix and I didn't really watch it. I said in my review of the first Basket Case movie that I'd seen the second film somewhat or all the way through, but I had never seen it all the way through until just now. Um, and yeah, I mean, it was definitely worth watching, definitely as good as the first film. The acting is pretty bad here. The writing is just as bad. It doesn't have much of as much as as much of a serious kind of tone that the first film had, with them going around getting revenge on the doctors that separated them. That's kind of a serious. That's kind of a little bit more serious, like plot than what we have here. But still, it's still a very funny, enjoyable movie. Definitely very watchable. Uh, it's like I said, very funny. The effects are very good. The costumes on the freaks, wow, some of them look super cheesy, and some of them look kind of good. Some of them look pretty bad. Altogether, the freaks are still pretty creepy. Um, the gore and blood effects are done well here. It's not as gory as the first film. The puppeteering on Belial is pretty good. The camera work, lighting, sound mix, all very, very well done. Um, it's a pretty funny film, but in its own kind of cheesy, creepy, goofy, ridiculous, wacky way. Also, the music in the film is pretty good. On the gore meter, from 1 to 10, 1 being something like The Corpse Grinders and 10 being something like Brain Dead, this movie's a 5. It really isn't, well, not even a 5, like a 4. It isn't even really that bad. It's the only really bad parts of the film. Like I can name like three, three scenes from the film that I would consider to be decently violent, and then the rest of them are just kind of blood flying everywhere. Well, not flying everywhere, but blood flying around, and it's not too bad. Definitely a good watch. Worth checking out if you like the first film. It isn't the same kind of trash exploitation, sleazy fun that like the first film was. So don't expect the same thing as the first film. Um, 3.5 out of 5 stars for me. Just watch the film if you want. Now, before I sign off, I'd like to say I started podcasting, and the first podcast is already up on SoundCloud. I'll put the link to my SoundCloud account in the description below. With my podcasts, I will talk about films I've seen recently. I'll rant about stuff, whether it be about movies or not, it doesn't really matter. Um, I'll rant about stuff, talk about what I've seen recently, maybe review a movie on there. Uh, Tell you guys what I think of a movie that may have been requested that I review. So if you guys are interested, you guys can listen to it. The first podcast is only about 6 minutes long, so it isn't super long. It will take up less time than this review will. But anyway, guys, I'm BiscuitBoo69. All the links to all the social media things are in the description below. I'm BiscuitBoo69. Signing off. Peace.
You're listening to a demo for